give you a peanut, you'll never leave me alone.
Hello. Zachary.
All right, today we have good friend Jared. Take it away.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming out this afternoon. My name's Jared. I run a little digital agency here downtown called Astoria. I run an Instagram account called 757 Collective, and I learned a fair amount of stuff through my work there and as a photographer as well. And hopefully what I share today can be really helpful to all of you in kind of crafting your digital strategies and working with photography online. And we'll also touch on Instagram as well, how to optimize it. So before I get too far into this whole thing, my company's called Astoria, which is the Greek word for story, and I feel that, by nature, we're storytelling beings, right? Way back in the day, Plato said, those who tell stories rule society. So they would gather around a fire, they would gather in their great storytelling spaces, and then they would share those big narratives. And that's how they would transfer on knowledge and stories of how they know knowledge and all that. Well, today, how do we share what's right and what's true and news and that sort of thing? Like, how do we do it today? On the internet? Yeah. How else? Pictures. Okay. Books. Yeah. So we have all sorts of mediums now. We got TV, we've got radio, we've got print, we've got web, we've got incredible opportunities to share stories, ideas, brands, products, services, and get them out really quickly. Which is super cool to me is that if you have something that is in and of itself good or great, people want to share it. Like, you found something cool, you want to share it with your friend. Well, in the past, like way back in the day, you just might tell people about it, but now we have the opportunity to have stuff grow at an incredible rate. And we're storytelling beings, and by nature we love images, right? And the web, as bandwidth has increased, it's become increasingly visual, right? If you think back to like 10 years ago, how text heavy it was, whereas now it's so image based and so video based as well. Well, you want cool images on your site, but you just don't want an image for the sake of an image, right? So let's talk about user experience in photography and how to delight your users on any kind of digital platform. So the big picture is we want the right image, and we want it served up really fast, right? So we don't want just any beautiful image, but we want the right image, and we want it to be coming up with the quickness. So let's think about this real quick. What are some of the benefits to having a really great image tied to a blog post or something that's shareable on the web? Just throw something out there. What would be the benefits?
It being used in real life. So you'd be able to see it being used in real life. Okay. So understanding the context.
Provides context. Yeah. Yep. Provides context to the text.
First impressions.
Yeah. Good first impression. Okay. So this is an example from, I helped create this blog called Theomag, which is it's a little blurry up there, is a blog dedicated to like theology and that sort of thing. And this article like blew up on us. The title is called "To the Man Who Won't Sleep with Me." It's about an article on modesty. And we tied in this image. Like a solid image just builds credibility to your product or service, your site or whatever. It just exudes sort of a professionalism. It also helps provide context and emphasizes your post title and your little short copy that a lot of times is shareable as well. Triggers to view the post. And so like, how many of you guys use WordPress for your sites? Yeah. Like WordPress has a featured image. If you're not using WordPress, Squarespace, it doesn't matter what sort of site you're using or if you build it from scratch. All these social platforms are trying to pull in through the tags, what is like the main image to share with that post and not just the text. And if you're not including an image, you're really missing out on an opportunity to kind of build it out and attract people. And then if it loads faster, I say it saves lives, retains readers, and just makes you feel all around awesome. So where to get the right image? Well, there's a bunch of premium stock websites out there, like a ton of them. These are some of my favorite: iStock Photo, Getty Images, and Stocksy. These can all be pretty pricey, but they have this huge body of content for you to choose from. So you're able to find an image that fits really well. So there's a reason why you're kind of paying a kind of more premium price for them. And you can Google around stock photo website. There's a bunch of them. Well, so let's say you don't want to pay any money, which is good, right? Photopin.com, Pixabay.com, StockVault.net are all pretty good sites where you can have rights, and they just really want you to see where you got the image from. So you can say image provided by down in your blog post, or you can do a Google search and click on our usage rights and see the images that you have the rights to use, rather than just grabbing any image from a Google image search. I like that Google, instead of like fighting it, provided an opportunity for you to do it the right way. Or you could just take the photo yourself. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But if you can take a photo that looks good and ties into exactly what you're doing, then you know who has the rights to it. You don't have to worry about it. Like this photo I took of this horse. This is up in North Dakota. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's where all the fracking stuff, and so they burn off all the extra energy, and it looks kind of like a candle. And my little horse cake. Thought that was fun. All right, so let's get a little nerdy here. What type of image to use? Like JPEG, PNG, and I say GIF, not GIF. There is no actual correct way to say that, right? You can say it either way, and either way is okay, as much as I hate that. Because I like to think that a good GIF is like, it's like a gift to me, like, because I just love them so much. So let's talk about each of them individually and when you would want to use them. JPEG offers the most room for compression. Do you know how many colors a human eye can see? 10 million. And JPEG can do even more than that. There's all these different types of bits, right? So there's like 8-bit, 16-bit, 20, goes all the way up to 48-bit. 48 bits, like 281 trillion colors, right? So anyway, JPEG can offer all the color the human eye can see. It also can be compressed really well, and it's what basically every image you want on your website to be JPEG. PNG files offer the ability to have a transparent background, so a lot of logo files use that, and they use lossless compression, so the image file size is going to be larger, which is why you wouldn't want to use them for very much at all on your site. And then the last is a GIF, mostly used for animated image, but it could be just a non-animated image. Did you know that? Pretty neat little fun fact. To make it to where the file sizes aren't giant, all GIFs are compressed into a 256 color palette, right? So there's just less information there, which allows the file size to be smaller. And then you can have frames, which allows it to be animated. So here's an example of the 3 different types: JPEG, a PNG, and a GIF, a happy GIF at that. Any questions on that stuff? Does that all make sense? Yeah.
Does GIF take up more room than a JPEG?
Oh yeah, almost certainly. Yeah. I mean, if a GIF was like just not animated and it was a still frame, it could possibly be smaller, but you wouldn't even want to mess with it. It doesn't really serve your purpose because you have a lot more control, and I'll show you in a little bit about how to compress JPEGs.
What about the load time on a GIF?
Yeah, it's going to take longer. The bigger the file size, the longer it'll take. Yeah. So here's a little bit about how to optimize your images for the web. And we're going to talk about SEO and all that fun stuff. In Photoshop, you can save for web and devices. I'll actually show you how to do that at the end of the slide. Or if you don't want to pay for Photoshop, but I mean, Photoshop's amazing. If you're using the web all the time, you're uploading stuff all the time, it's worth it. Adobe's got the pricing model changed to where it's actually able for the average user to pay for it now. Or you could use one of these other solutions. I have a buddy who's really good at photo manipulation, and he uses GIMP, which is his free photo editor. But there's Image Optim, Riot. These are some other ones that I'm familiar with, but I'm all about Photoshop. We'll talk more a little bit about this when we open an image in Photoshop. But in general, all of the images that are uploaded to the web, the max that the web will allow you to see is 72 dpi and RGB. So like a JPEG can be made of CMYK or RGB. You guys know the difference between the two?
No.
RGB is red, green, and blue, and that's for web. CMYK is the standard for print, which is like cyan, magenta, yellow, and then K. What is it?
I think K is black.
Is it? Yeah. So every single pixel that you see on the web is made up of RGB, and the three, however much is, it's like a little lever, and that's how they make up each individual pixel. So for the web, you want it to export in RGB, and then you can start out at 60% quality on the compression. It'll make a lot more sense when I actually show it to you in Photoshop. And then if you're going to go to print, you want at least 180 dpi, and the max would probably be 300 dpi. So if you're preparing something for a printer, like a poster or something, or your business cards, anything like that, I would do it in 300 dpi, CMYK. When you're compressing an image for the web, you want to shoot for a good balance between the quality and the size of the image. And Photoshop allows you to see that in real time. You can make adjustments. You can see, okay, I'm about to export this. It's going to be 100K, 100 kilobytes, and it still looks really good. So you can shrink it down to 50K, and you'd be like, and it still looks good. So you want to pinch it as much as you can without it looking pixelated. A little trick I've been using for, like, a lot of websites now have parallax sections, where the web or the image moves opposite kind of as you're scrolling, or just image sections with the text overlay. So for on those, I'll put like I call it a color fade. So it's a layer with a color, and I lower the opacity, and that even decreases the amount of information in the image, which allows for a smaller file size. Does that make sense? I'll show you at the end of the slide, we'll get into Photoshop. If you have a PNG file that you really need to use and you want a quick way to compress it, you can use tinyping.com. And then after you upload, you want to optimize for SEO. So you want to make sure that your file name of your image before your upload has the correct information in it that somebody would maybe naturally search for, but it also needs to be tied to the page that you're on and the context for which image is being used on the web. And then you also want to include alt tags and then a caption and description if possible. Now, if you're uploading to WordPress, WordPress has all this stuff now actually built into their image uploader. Back in the day, they didn't have that. You had to put all that in the image code on the page, and it's just like, so now it's really great. And this helps with lead generation by people searching for these things and finding your site through their searches for it. Here are some WordPress plugins that you might find helpful. Like we're talking about compressing an image in Photoshop, this Smush It will actually compress the image for you automatically when you upload it to WordPress. And you can batch process images that you've already uploaded in the past. So like if you've got like hundreds of images on your site already, and you're like, they're not compressed, my website's running too slow, you can use Smush It and it'll do it in like 50 at a time and then compress them for you if you've already got them up.
And that won't affect the quality?
It tries to, you're just trusting it that it's not going to compress it too much. And I haven't found it to compress it so much that it makes your images look bad. And usually it doesn't save you a lot. It might save you like 10 to 50 kilobytes per image, but it's helpful.
And what's the difference between the alt tags and the caption?
So an alt tag is like if you hover over an image, there's a little text that pops up. Have you ever encountered that? Yep. And then a caption would be an actual like you have your image, and then below it says, "This is Jared talking at Hatch." So you don't always have a caption on an image, but if it's possible to have one, and if it makes sense, like in a blog post or something, I would definitely include it because it helps with SEO. Lazy Load is a plugin, and you want to use each of these with discretion. My principle is only use a plugin if absolutely necessary. don't just keep throwing plugins at your site, hoping that it's going to make things better, because a lot of them can lag and make your site run slow, or they can not work well with your theme or work well with one another. And every plugin that you have on your site is one more opportunity for somebody to hop in and hack your site. Because you have this old plugin that's a piece of junk, people can hack your site through an old piece of junk plugin. That happened with Revolution Slider. Does anybody use that app or that plugin? Yeah. Okay. Huge WordPress plugin. So hackers out there, they're not just going to go hack any plugin. They're going to hack one that's widely used so they can affect a lot of people. So they hacked Revolution Slider and were able to get into your site and embed malware and all that stuff if your Revolution Slider plugin wasn't updated. So update your plugins and only use the smallest amount you absolutely need. And now I'm going to recommend some more plugins for you. Lazy load, which is some themes have this built in. So it's like if you scroll, the images aren't loaded automatically. Like let's say I go to yahoo.com, all the images load. I don't know if they do that on your site, but let's say they didn't. They'd be using a lazy load technique. So they'd only load as you scroll down, and the images will actually load up. So you're not requiring that user's bandwidth to be used up. Only if they scroll down, then you'll use it up more to view the images. Lazy load's a plugin that creates that functionality if your theme doesn't already have it. And this is a caching plugin, which seems to be the number one plugin, which is W3 Total Cache, which allows you to store images on your. So like if somebody goes to your page, they leave it, they go to another page, they come back to that page, they don't have to reload all this stuff. It holds it in cache.
Would you just take a second for those of us that are not up on it as much as you are? The plugin. The plugin is a mini program on the website. I mean, how would you describe a plugin?
Yeah, so these are specific to WordPress.
Okay.
And WordPress is on almost 40% of websites in the world right now. It's the largest content management system in the world. So in WordPress, you have the sort of structure, and you have a theme, and then you have plugins which give you additional functionality, right? So, I mean, there's tons of plugins. One of the beauties of WordPress is that it's open source and anybody can create a plugin. But the bad part about that is anybody can create a plugin.
So it could be a little video clip.
Now it would be like, think of it as like a functionality. So like you can add the ability for you to capture leads through a newsletter, or it could be like embedding Google Analytics on all of your pages, or
kind of like an app for them, sort of.
Yeah.
It's like you add an app to your phone so you can do something differently or better, and it's sort of the same concept. If you add certain extra functionalities to be able to do more, or it's like, for example, one of the plugins that we have is that little share button that comes up on the left side where you can either Facebook it, Twitter it, Reddit, all that stuff. That's a plugin that allows the website to be able to share certain things.
So it's a mini program within the website.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Cool. All right. Photoshop break. Yes.
Now, what format is that?
GIF.
What's the other pronunciation?
GIF. Oh.
Keep it
GIF
in.
reminds me of peanut butter.
With a J.
Yeah.
I always thought about like a giraffe.
Okay. So this is that image again, and I shot it raw, right? Which is totally uncompressed file type that DSLR cameras shoot on. And like Nikon has their own sort of raw format, and Canon has a raw format. So it's like the biggest possible file type that camera will shoot on. The bigger the megapixel, the bigger the file size is going to be for each raw image, right? So the camera I shoot on has a 38.5 megapixel sensor, which is ridiculous. And a raw image can be anywhere from like 20 to 40 megabytes raw, right? Okay. So then what I did is I edited this photo a little bit and I exported it as a JPEG at 3,500 pixels wide, right? And I exported it at, I can't remember how many DPI, I think 300 pixels per inch is my resolution. Okay, so this is just how I have this image. But So you could get an image in any other way, but I'm going to show you how to compress it for web, right? So this is where we're at right now, 3500. It's very large and the resolution is way too high. So I know I can automatically change it to what for web? Do we remember what the DPI is?
72.
72. Bingo. Now it's ready for web. But how big do I want the image to be? Well, I say you make it only as big as it absolutely necessarily has to be. Making it too small and then hoping that it gets back as big as you need to be later, bad news. Because you can always compress, but the second you try to expand a compressed image, it's going to look terrible. So let's say this, I'm going to use this for one of my background sections on my website, and I'm going to have a text overlay on top of it, right? So it's going to be like, North Dakota, we make oil. We refine it. Brilliant, isn't it? And that section is going to be 1,200 pixels wide. So I can go ahead and say I want it to be 1,200 pixels wide by 800. So I've resized the image, and that was on image size. And now I want to save it for the web. So I can do File and Export, Save for Web. Right? It brings up this dialog right here. You guys see this? All right. So down here in the bottom right, I've got my image size. And then up here in the top, I have quality. This is how much we're compressing the image. So if we didn't compress it at all, that would be the quality. And you can see down here in the bottom left, 715 kilobytes. That's pretty big. That's almost a megabyte, right? We want to get this image down. I'd love for it to be 20 kilobytes. Think we can do it? I believe it. I believe it. How are we going to do it? Well, if we adjusted the quality right here down to 50, it's still looking okay. 7. Because of this image, it's actually not looking too bad. But we're still at 49 kilobytes. So how do we cheat the system a little bit? Well, like I was saying, I like to do the overlays, especially if I'm going to put text on top of it. So what I've done is I've created a new layer, and I've got a solid image, and I'm going to just paint this layer. And then over here on the right, I'm going to drop the opacity on it so I can kind of see what's going on. And then this, when you put text in on your actual website editor, it's going to look really sharp because this is sort of what it's going to look like. It's really going to make it pop out. All right. So, but we don't want the text right now. We've got this little overlay going on, and now let's see what our image is going to be now. Okay, we're at 30 kilobytes, almost 20. It's not bad. Then you just save, and it saves it as a JPEG, and you can upload it. Voila. Yeah, is that helpful? A little bit. Yeah. So what you want to play around with is the quality here, and then seeing how, as long as the image doesn't look bad. This image, there's not a ton of detail that's in focus throughout the entire image, right? Because you've got the horse, but if this was like a headshot, for instance, and like 80% of the image was in focus, then you're not going to be able to drop the quality a ton. So anyway, this isn't a Photoshop class, but hopefully that helps some. Any questions on that as I click through this whole page again?
So when you did the opacity layer for you did blue, right?
Yeah, it was like a teal.
Okay.
Sort of a
Could
dark.
you, is that just random color? Didn't matter.
Yeah.
Does it sort of show through since you had the opacity at 48?
Yeah, you'll notice that color, definitely.
And did you choose that like bluish because like the main color of the picture was a lot of like blue from the sky, or?
No, I actually am using that color on a project right now with the client for their website. It's one in their color scheme, so I had it in my little color palette because of that. But I would use colors that relate to the brand of whatever you're working on. So if it was like, you're using hash as colors, like green would make a lot of sense, or something that complements the green. But like pink would be very weird. But on another side, pink would make a lot of sense. But it also has to complement the image underneath of it too. So there's definitely a lot of design that goes into that. That's just a little trick to get the image size down. But obviously on all images, you're not going to want to put a fade on it, you know. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to a post on WordPress, right? Is the what you can't necessarily change the heading of an article of a post to accommodate the picture color. The picture color, since this is a garden picture. Like my company's color is orange and blue, navy type. But that's accounting sucks. So I just want to make sure the customization of it, like each post, that each post is going to look the same around it, but it's just that I guess I'm trying to understand how.
My next, let's see if I answer your question through this next this next section. It's I have a whole a slide dedicated to optimizing an individual blog post with photography. So I think we might touch on it there. If you're wondering how your website's performing overall, here are a couple different speed tests that you can run it through. There's Google's, which is Google PageSpeed, and I do have a slide at the end with a bunch of links too. And we'll make this will be available, right? Yeah. Pingdom speed test and Yahoo, and they give you like a rating based on all these different things. Like this is how fast your website's working. This is what you can do to improve it. So they're really helpful. I take all of them with a little bit of grain of salt. And then there's different plugins you can use to try to compete with these things. But at the end of the day, one of these ratings doesn't matter to me so much as what the actual experience is for people on devices. So whenever I'm working on a website, I always run it on my mobile phone, my laptop, our home desktop, and then basically anybody I can find. I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this site? And I'll watch them, how they navigate the site. I won't say anything. I'm like, hey, check out whatever.com. So I'll see how they use it. And I won't say, okay, now check out this page. Let them go wherever they want to go and watch how they experience the site. And then you can also see how well it loads and stuff too, right? That's a fun little exercise. These plugins at the bottom are some more WordPress plugins. WP Optimize is probably the one of these three I'd recommend the most. What it allows you to do is clear out your databases. Whenever you are saving a WordPress post, it creates versions of it that you can go back to. Well, maybe you don't need those versions anymore. So WP Optimize allows you to delete all those old versions and clean up your database. And then you can go that fast. I don't know if you can see the little, not the mama.
We gotta step up our game, I guess is what you're trying to tell us. Our match weeklies are pretty good.
I know I like the Fridays.
Mondays.
Well, usually you have a gift for like what's happening in the week. You know.
Yeah.
All right, so how to generate leads through photography, and that's mainly through SEO. And let me just firstly say that SEO, the whole landscape of it is changing. I'm not an SEO specialist. I have some friends who are, that's like what they do all day, every day. I would want my brain, I couldn't handle it. So SEO, though, used to just be optimize a web page or a blog post based on a keyword. So I want my keyword to be, what's your business? It's pest control. And you're tied to this region, right? So maybe I want my blog post to be pest control Norfolk or pest control Virginia Beach or whatever. And then you would want all of your stuff in your post, your page to be relevant to that keyword so that whenever somebody searches for that keyword or that string of keywords, then they'll hopefully come to your page, like it'll show up in the results. But Google's like, we could care less about keywords. What we care about is, do people, when they go to your site, based on what they search for, did they have a positive experience? And so they're trying to test that based on how long they're on your site, how many different pages they went to on your site, did they share your site, and that's all. So they track all these different uses by users. And that's how they're building out the whole thing. So they're looking at what your images are like, what your content is like, and not just if it has the right keywords. So having good copy, like having it written well, and then having the right tags and images. So all that to say, SEO is holistic. It's not just about keywords anymore. I don't know if that makes sense. AMA put out an article about this a while ago, and I was like, yes, they hit it on the head. And I'm not the only one thinking this. And they shared a bunch of other references of people who are doing the same thing. So how to optimize your images to go along with the holistic approach. Pick the right file name. We've kind of already talked about this. Add a caption. Use alt text. And then if data is actually included in, Google will pull it in now. Whenever you take an image, even on iPhones now, or mobile devices, but on DSLR specifically, there's what's called EXIF data. EXIF, I don't know what it stands for, can't remember. But what it is like, what's your aperture? What's your shutter speed? How big is your image? When was it the date and time it was taken? It can even be the geo, if it's geotagged.
Exchangeable image file format.
Okay, there you go. So it's all that information. So that can actually be searchable too. And if you don't want it to be, you can strip out that data. But maybe you want it to be. You know? And you can include your copyright in the EXIF data as well. But so it's something to be mindful of, especially if somebody was like a photographer and they wanted their images of a certain location to be searchable. One of the articles that I have referenced at the end says this. It all comes down to this. If you want your photos to tell a story, please tell that story to Google and write it. So you can't just create an image post with image, and hope that people will find it. You need to also have good copy and then good code on your images, good headlines that tie it all together, and that will really help with your search results. Here it is. Image surrounded by related text ranks better for a keyword that it's optimized for.
So how surrounded as in that specific blog post, or
Yep.
within a certain amount of characters to that image?
Yeah, no, it's the whole post. Yeah. So it's like, does this image make sense in the context of this page or this post? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So here's how to optimize an individual blog post. Relevant title. You know, it's like you're telling the story of a post. Give me a title that's relevant to what the post is about, not what you think somebody's going to search for. Google's like, so they're trying to create ways to like stop people from kind of cheating the system and just provide good content that makes sense to people, right? Relevant title. And then for photography, I always include the names and locations of where I'm shooting. A relevant image that is gorgeous, hopefully. Here we go back to getting the right image. And then categorize your blog and use tags, but don't go crazy on the tags. Give credit to assistants or vendors at the bottom. Okay. So I have an example for my blog, but there's other stuff I think is going to be more helpful for you guys. Yeah. Another GIF. All right, so let's talk about social media real quick on Instagram. All right, should do Instagram? That's the very first question you should be asking yourself. You're like, everybody's on Instagram, or there's millions of people, like they keep their user counts growing like crazy. Should you even be there in the first place? So here's my my philosophy on social media networks in general, right? I like to think of your brand presence or your digital presence as a tree. Imagine your brand as a tree. And every new social media platform that you join is like a new branch. Yeah. So Instagram is this new branch, Facebook's a branch, Pinterest, Snapchat, all this stuff. These are different branches that you're growing. Well, as a tree, you're growing a branch, you want to be able to support it with nutrients and goodness. Because if you don't, your little branch is just going to wither off and die. So all that to say, if you're going to create it, you got to support it. So don't do something you're not going to be able to support, because it's going to hurt you in the end. If you create a page and then you're never posting on there, you're not engaging, you're not interacting, somebody's going to find your brand, they're going to be like, and then it's not going to help you at all. So only start something you know you can actually roll with, right? So maybe Instagram makes sense for your brand. First and foremost, it's a social media, right? Which includes talking to people. The main thing is engage with the community. There's a book called The Age of Engage, which was written back in like 2008 or 9, back when social media was sort of in infancy, kind of. I mean, it's not what it is today. Facebook came out in like 2003 or 4 or something, so it was changing. But the summary of the book is to really do well on social media, engage with people. How do you do that on Instagram in particular? Following, liking, commenting, responding to people commenting, responding to your DMs. It goes down in the DM. Hashtag. So people who know that song. And be social. Yeah, you'd be amazed at the amount of brands that don't respond to direct messages or to comments. I love this. It's like, if I came to Zach, man, I dig your shirt. Thank you.
You are awesome.
But what if Zach didn't say anything? What if he was just like, and he's like looking kind of off beside me and like I'm not even there? You know, you'd just be like, you know, it's not quite the same, but pretty close to set. So if somebody's giving you a compliment, this is an opportunity for you to take it even another level. Not just say, thanks. But what if you were to go to their page, see what their interests are, find something about them, and be like, thanks so much. Dig your cake blog. You know, they'd be like, oh my gosh, they took the time out of their day to know that I actually was cake blog then.
Why is it, and I agree with you 100%, why is it that brands don't follow this? Or like, is there a trend where they just ignore everything? They only do a couple of things? Like, do you have any reasoning behind it? I mean, it seems logical that people would just respond, you know, because if you're in a human interaction, you likely would respond to that person.
Yeah.
But, you know, we keep hearing these things and people not doing it, brands not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they?
I think they're not doing it because they don't have the capacity to do it, or they don't get it. Maybe that's it. Either they don't realize the incredible potential that they have, or they just don't have the capacity, the manpower to do it.
So then in that case, don't build the branch, is what you say.
Yeah. Or they just don't understand that that's the right thing to do. I mean, there are a lot of companies out there that don't think that social media is really an important thing for their brand to monitor. Like they might be the old school model where they do PR, traditionally, and they don't see Twitter as like a PR vehicle. Where I think it is absolutely like the amount of views you can get versus like putting out a press release. I don't think it's this or that. I think it's both and. But yeah, I think it's either don't have the capacity or don't understand. Yeah. So when to post? So you're going to post something, but when the heck do you do it? Well, there's good times and there's bad times. The best way to do is just post, see what your actions are like, and learn from it. But then there's, I don't know if you guys ever use Iconosquare. It's a pretty cool website that allows you to track your Instagram posts, and you can see the amount of interactions. They plot it out for you, and you can see all the different times that you posted and all the different levels of interaction you got at each of the different times. So I'd say mix it up. If you don't know your audience at all, then just totally randomly post and see how it goes. But like for the account that I run, it's regionally minded. So I'm like, okay, most of the people here are East Coasters, right? Some brands that are global brands don't have that benefit. So they kind of have to mess around with things. Iconosquare is a great resource.
Free?
Yeah. They actually said we're changing our model and going to like a premium thing. Outrage. They said, just kidding. I'm not joking. Yeah, it was hilarious. Okay, and then collaborate with other people. You can direct message people, come up with ideas for collaborative photo shoots. If you're a brand and you see somebody liking your stuff and they're actually a pretty good photographer, be like, hey, you're great. Are you interested in coming shooting some of our stuff sometime? They might be like, whoa, and do it for free. You don't know until you ask. So here are some do's and don'ts. Do choose an account name tied to your business. Some people don't do that, and it's mind blowing. So it's like, or it's like it's their business, but yet it looks like they're a personal account. So it's like their kids and food, and then their feet and a sunset, but it's like the business name, right? So if it's a business account, keep it a business account. If it's a personal account, keep it personal. Put your location in your profile, if that makes sense for your business. If your business is truly global, totally online, you might not have to do that, but you want to provide context for people. So like in the description, blah, 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 Inc. Serving, da, 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 Norfolk, Virginia. Be consistent. Think of your Instagram sort of as a gallery in an art gallery, right? So you're on exhibit in an art gallery. You wouldn't want it to be completely random and not have any cohesive sort of sense to it, right? So your Instagram feed, you've got like 10 seconds at the most to impress somebody to get them to follow you. So they're going to look at it, they're going to be like, that's it. That's not near 10 seconds. If there's no they have to know what to expect, right? You want them to understand there's something for them to expect. And if it's just totally random, it's not professional, it's totally random, you're going to be like, eh. So then if they know what to expect, they have to want that thing to continue to expect it, right? So there's that. Be consistent. Include location on images when possible. So that would be, geotag your photos, right? You can say where the location's at. That's beneficial because people can go to a location and see all the photos taken there previously. And then now Instagram's doing like top photos by location. So if your photos liked a lot, interacted a lot, it'll be at the top, even better. Get you more exposure. And then be personable in your captions. The cool thing about social media is it's kind of stripped down these walls of like corporate versus just like end user. So now it's kind of leveled the playing field a little bit, and it's increased transparency, hopefully among businesses. So this is an opportunity for you to be kind of transparent, show behind the scenes sort of stuff with your employees, what's going on, and just be like real. And then use hashtags like crazy, right? Be annoying with it. But that's with a caveat. I would always do it in the comment. So as soon as you post, comment immediately with a bunch of hashtags that are relevant. So if you have a good photo, and you're not just gonna be hashtagging it with like kitten, hashtag like for like, hashtag Insta Daily, hashtag this, because then it's just like I'm pleading for likes. No, use hashtags that are, and this takes a little bit of research, that are relevant to the image. And if they're relevant, I say use as many as Instagram will let you. If you do it in the comment immediately after your first initial post, it won't show up with this long giant thing. And actually, Instagram now has cut you off at 3 lines, I think. And then they make it go ... So you have to hit the comment to see the whole thing.
So how do you decide on your page, 757 Collective, to hashtag or not to? Because sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. You never mass. No.
Okay, so I don't always follow what I'm preaching right now for the 757 Collective.
You do not, correct?
I do not.
Interesting.
How many hashtags I've only used one hashtag on that account ever, and that is the hashtag I created for it. But on my personal account, it's a totally different story. And then as far as like when I ask people to tag in that thing, it's just totally random. I used to do it every single time.
So how did you grow not using that strategy?
Engage the community with key stakeholders.
Oh.
So I have this Instagram account. I don't know if all of you guys are familiar with it. It's called 757 Collective, and all I do is feature photos by other people. I haven't ever posted one of my own photos on there. It's just like somebody takes a really cool photo of King Neptune, and I repost their photo, right? There's a photo right there.
Nice.
Very
So-
nice.
Yeah, they're all really good photos. And how I got it to grow quickly is I found the best photographers I could find in the area, reached out to them and said, hey, I'm starting this thing and I'd love to feature your work. I think you're great. Would you consider tagging your images with this hashtag? And then not all of them did, but enough did to where their friends that respect them because they're good photographers are like, whoa, what's that? They check it out. Like, oh, this is cool. And then they started hashtagging their images. Next thing you know, but now we're up to like almost 60,000 images tagged with 757 Collective. That's a ton of images.
So the benefit for you on this, on the 757 Collective, is it's just an outreach of your, is a PR thing for your business? I mean, you're not charging for that, right?
Right, yeah, it's free.
Okay.
So the way I view 757 Collective as it's grown for me is I view it as sort of I'm building a brand, and now I'm getting to the point where I'm trying to charge for businesses to post on it, sponsored posts. But I want to feature unique local brands and businesses that make sense to share with people who are doing cool stuff here locally. And then we're thinking about doing like a clothing line thing. I don't know if I want to do that or not. Like regional shirts, like Virginia Beach shirts, Norfolk shirts, but they gotta be really good, really good. That's the benefit for me. But I did it initially to showcase the area. I was like, this area is cool. We've got great photographers. We need a hub for this. So I created it. And then it just kind of took off.
And people can go on there and use those pictures. There's no copyright issues. I mean, it hits the public.
Yeah,
The public
copyright on
domain.
Instagram is interesting. Technically, I don't know if they've changed it to where Instagram owns the rights to everything posted on there. Facebook did that, and people freaked out about it. But I think Facebook was kind of like, deal with it. So if you post an image to Facebook, like they have the rights to hold it. Yeah. Same thing with Instagram. But then if I were to take somebody's photo, repost it, and claim it as my own, the community would outrage. They would freak. But if I say photo by so and so, that person's like, dude, you know?
You're giving them credit.
Yeah.
How do you repost other people's pictures? Is there a feature to?
There's an app you can use. I just do a screenshot. Yeah, you do. I just screenshot it, and then I have a folder on my phone with all these images I've screenshotted, and I just arrange them on how I want to post them. And I queue them up, just post them. Yeah. So how are we doing?
11
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. Okay, reward your followers. Like the people who follow you and are liking you and stuff on Instagram, this is an opportunity to kind of treat them as insiders. Like show them the insides of the deal or project you're working on, and then the opportunity to get in on a new product or service before other people at a discounted rate. Because these are the people that are going to share it and tag their friends on it. Run contests. If you're gonna give away something, I would say make it relevant to what your brand is or what you're doing. Like if you're just giving away, if you're on it, I've seen some brands be like, let's give away a DSLR camera and then people will share it, but it's not as good of a deal as if it's like something that it's relevant to your brand. Like at that point, you're just kind of getting likes for likes. You're getting follows for follows. You're not going to get quality followers. You're going to get people follow you because they want the camera, not because they like you. If you give something relevant to your brand, they're going to want to follow you because of the item. You know, does that make sense? Good. Yeah.
And that's, you keep mentioning like likes and follows. How do you, if at all, quantify your followers?
That's a great question. Somebody can have 100,000 followers, post a photo, and get like 250 likes. So there's an engagement rate percentage. Iconosphere will also measure that for you too. They'll say the amount of interaction you get is like the total amount of followers you have divided by the amount of interactions or whatever. So that could be a like or a comment. So the higher interaction level you have is the stronger brand presence you have on Instagram. You can have all these followers from Timbuktu. They don't care about you. They're just following you for whoever knows why, and they don't ever like your photo or comment. They're not really a great follower. You know, it's more like you're at a party and they're over in the corner. You know, they don't care about you. if you become what is it called? If Instagram, there's a word for it. My mind's blanking. They'll refer you to new followers. Can't think of what it is. So people, when they sign up, they'll be like, Instagram's like, you should follow this guy and this guy and this guy. And you'll be like, okay, sure. And you follow them. All of a sudden, the person's follow count goes from like 2,000 followers to like 20, 40 in like 3 days. You blow up. The problem then is you have all these unqualified followers that are just following you because, and then your interaction level is very low. So I take, some pride in the amount of interaction you get in a post.
Can you your followers to make it more?
You could block people. There used to be ghost followers, and Instagram killed off all these ghost followers and stuff. Yeah, you can block people. Let's keep rolling here because there's some more goodies in here. Connect Instagram with your Facebook and your website if it makes sense. And then have a content calendar. Yeah. If you've got time, I'd say try to make time to create a content calendar, not just for Instagram, but for all of your channels, social channels in the blog. It's one big strategy, right? This is just a little bitty piece of it. And then have it all kind of work together. What's going on with Facebook, what's going on with Instagram. You might not post the exact same thing. What's going on with Twitter. And Google social media content calendar. So there's a lot of helpful stuff out there on that. Do not have a private profile. If you want to be found, don't make your profile private. You would think that'd be obvious, but it's not. Do not post too many personal images. If this is your business, you want to be personable, but not personal, not personal. Does that make sense? Like we talked about earlier, like if it's a business account, it should be a business account. But we can see inside the business, kind of like behind the scenes. But we don't want to see you with your kids all the time. Do not use multiple images to create a gallery image, right? Somebody posts like 9 images and combined they're one giant image. Don't do that. Yeah.
No. 9 different posts to create one gigantic one.
So if
But
you look
once
at your
you
bio,
post the 10th photo that doesn't match, it scrambles it up.
I think somebody did it once when someone else was like, oh, that's clever. But it's just a
They
mess.
look kind of cool, some of them.
They might look kind of cool when they're all working together.
You post like 3 at a time.
But yeah, you got to
But
keep
here's the
posting.
best, yeah. So then.
Oh, and then you're going through your feed and it's like, what is going on here? Just hit them with one image, man. One good image. Don't post too many images per day. If you're doing more than 2 a day, you need to ask yourself what you're doing. Like, it better be worth it. It better be worth it. I think once a day is pretty good. The other key is to be consistent with how much you post. You post like once a day, you go away for a week, you go away for 2 weeks, you post every 3 days. Just have a nice, clean, consistent, and it takes work. Do not beg for likes or followers. Do not go to people, hey, I like your page, you should follow me back. Should I? Why? I don't know. Don't go do that. Just be nice to people for nice sake, and people will follow you. Don't use irrelevant hashtags, like we talked about. Don't spam people or hashtag spam. Like, don't go to their page and be posting your hashtag, like hashtag Jared's Business, hashtag Jared's Business Norfolk, hashtag on their image because it's kind of related. Yeah. People do some shady, weird stuff. All right, so this is my bonus. I don't know if we have time. All right, I'll get it in real quick. I use Google Chrome. I'm crazy about it. This is completely unrelated. This is your 5-minute bonus on Google Chrome extensions. Woo! Let's do it. Let's do it. Get Google Chrome. Sign into your Gmail account, and here are some extensions that are helpful. 1, LastPass. Who uses 1Password-ish for almost everything? Boo! That's terrible. Okay. All right. So you need a unique password for everything you ever use. How mind-blowingly hard is that? Really hard. LastPass is the last password you will ever have to remember because it creates a password for you for every single account and ties it in. Now, if somebody gets into your LastPass, they can have everything. That's bad. But we hope they're encrypted really well, right? Anyway, LastPass. Love it.
Where did the synergy come from?
It's a 5-minute stretch, man. You know, you got to kick it in. Stay focused. This extension's pretty sweet. You can say, all these websites burn up all my extra time, and they're killing me. I got to stop going to these sites all the time. You can say how many total minutes in a day you can go frivolously do things on all these sites. And then after that, it says, shouldn't you be working? And you can't go to those sites anymore that day. Yeah, and you can have your cutoff time. So like for me, I do between 8 and 6 p.m. I can't go to, I have all these sites. Like I love my Chiefs. I have a Chiefs site on there. I include ESPN on there.
Pro Football Talk's gonna lose me. I mean, how can I not check them every 5 minutes?
Yeah. So they need to go on your little list there.
That's good. How do you hack out of it?
You can always use another browser. You could use Safari.
Oh, incognito mode?
Yeah, I think you could do that. You know, so yeah, you could cheat the system, but it's helpful. AdBlock Plus, love it. Blocks all sorts of ads and video ads. Woo! So YouTube ads.
Yeah.
What are those? I don't remember them. Here we go. Awesome screenshot. It's really helpful for taking screenshots and annotating on screenshots. And ColorZilla is pretty sweet. You're like, I wonder what color this is on this page. You can use an eyedropper to select that color. Graphic designer's little dream right here. What font? Hey, what font is that? What size is it? You just click the little what font and then hover over it, and it tells you what the font is, and you can use it.
Does it have to be editable text though?
It pretty much works on everything.
So I could do like a picture. Say something.
I mean, not an image.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but almost stuff online you can use it with.
That's cool.
Grammarly is not just like you spelled the word wrong. It also takes for context of the sentences and all that. And it tends to work better than the built-in Chrome thing, like Chrome has.
Good. It has a flaw in WordPress, though. If you don't want to change a word, it will change the color of that word until you fix it, even if you want it to be incorrect.
This is not perfect.
Yeah.
Zach, tell us about this one.
Grammarly?
Sidekick by HubSpot.
You get to see who's opening your emails
And clicking links.
and clicking links.
I like that.
So when someone is actually, most people either open their email like immediately or like hours later. At least that's for me what the trends are. So if you've been like prospecting on someone and you see that they're opening your email, give them a gentle nudge, call them up and say, hey, did you get that email? And you know that they're looking at it because you just got the notification.
Yeah.
Someone uses that trick all the time. He's getting mad at all this because, a year ago, no one was talking about this, but it's a little hack secret. It's $10 a month, but it's pretty.
Well, it only costs money if you're using a certain amount. There's a free version.
200 free emails a month.
So I use the free version, and I only include it on emails that I really want to care about.
Yeah.
So. Whisker for Gmail. Who has a Gmail account that has thousands of emails in it, and you don't think you could ever get out from underneath the giant boulder over you?
42,000.
Unread or
Dude! Both, either unread or total emails. Well, Whisker is a really great solution for getting rid of a ton of email. I would love for you all to achieve inbox zero. It is a wonderful place.
All right.
No, it's easy.
Yeah, no, you can do it, and I want to help you today. No, yeah,
You get the
Whisker.
Shia LaBeouf touch?
Whisker. Yeah, Whisker for Gmail allows you to just clean stuff out. So you can say, Best Buy is sending me all sorts of stuff. I haven't unsubscribed. I finally did. I've got thousands of emails. It'll kill every
So
Best
it's
Buy.
like the historical stuff for
But
unbound.
it won't unsubscribe. You'll still get them, but it'll clear out the past.
You can say, also, I don't ever want an email from them again. So
Don't do that for me.
Whisker, and then the last one is Boomerang. Anyone use that?
That's the thing. It's like 2 days later, it'll resend to remind you.
It'll resend whenever you want it to. So you get an email from somebody, and you're like, I don't want this in my inbox because I've achieved inbox zero. But I want this to come back on Thursday because that's when I need to look at it. Then you tell it, come back Thursday. And then on Thursday at 9 a.m. or whenever, there it is back in your inbox. Yeah.
Can you find it in between those 48 hours? Or
Yeah, it's just in wherever you
It's
put
there,
it.
it's tagged something else, and it comes back on there.
Yes, it's like the extension knows to pull it in.
Got it.
Yeah, but it's in your all mail or wherever. So those are my favorite extensions. They're all pretty helpful.
So
Yeah.
I'm on Google Chrome. How do I find these extensions?
Chrome.extensions.
Bingo. Or you just Google for
Whichever
Chrome
extension.
extensions.
Yeah, all of them. A lot of these things now have extension files on the page where they're like, do you want to download the extension or do you want to download the app or something like that? So you just do the extension piece. And are you familiar with what an extension looks like on an actual Chrome page? Can you show them on your thing? So it's right below to the right. Typically, I think it's the standard. So you see where the star bar is? Those are all extensions up there. So those are the ones that he uses the most, depending on what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so you would just have a.
Here's
you go to
what
those
font.
things to do it.
So it tells me what kind of font this is, and I can hover over it for more info. It tells me the size and all that.
Oh.
That one's pretty sweet. And then here's the, let's see, this is the color clicker. I can say pick color from page,
Okay.
and then any color, I don't know, that one. And then you can have, it's copied in my clipboard right now, so I can Control V and then paste it in the Photoshop or whatever. And you can see the history of the colors you've put. And this is my little time blocker. So yeah, well, we're out of time, but hopefully this has been helpful.
Do you have a slide about where to contact you?
I do.
Any other questions?
I have
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
unrelated question. I have to use it a lot, but Flickr.
Flickr.
Can you, when you upload photos to Flickr, can you tag those photos? on
Yeah,
there? Okay.
absolutely. Flickr actually pulls in the EXIF data automatically, and that's all searchable on their site. If you go to Flickr and you pull up an image, you should be able to see all the stuff that somebody else has included on there. Yeah. Flickr's interesting. There for a while I was doing it, but as a photographer, I like having all my stuff on my own site, so people are coming to me and not to Flickr. It's like, why do I want to send somebody somewhere else when, I don't know, I have an internal.
All right.
Thanks
Thanks so much, Jared.